Brandon, your author for the evening. This is Magellan, the macaw. We got smart and just hung a toy for him so he wouldn't be so eager to try to eat my pens and or my buttons. And he is very interested in his new toy. So if anyone out there wants to own a macaw, let me warn you, your toy bill will be quite high. They love things to chew on, particularly if they can hang on them like he is. You may see him going all the way up the chain to try to eat the ceiling, and then climbing back down. Theoretically, he should keep you entertained as you watch, since what I'm doing is pretty boring. I will be signing copies of tip-in pages of Rhythm of War for Gallants, my UK publisher, since I am not going on tour this year, and will not be in the UK as I was planning to be because of COVID. We're signing a bunch of these, and they will be in bookstores. So they will take this and print it right at the, or bind it into the books right at the front. So, and as always, we'll be doing Q&As while I do this. Isaac will be stopping by, and we'll have a special guest star, Steve Argyle, I believe, is going to be coming by. Steve has done a lot of art for us. He's done a lot of art for the Kickstarter. He does a lot of Magic the Gathering, Legend of the Five Rings. If you have a copy of Liliana the Veil, that is one of his most famous cards. So he's going to be stopping by. He's a good friend and a great guy. And so if you have questions for Steve, it doesn't have to be about my art, keep those handy for when he shows up in about an hour. And I don't know where Isaac is. He'll show up eventually.
Yeah, he'll be showing up earlier than that, but I imagine 8:30 or 7:30, 7:45 or so, I'd imagine.
So, and Magellan is doing his normal thing. He spends a significant portion of his life upside down. Why don't we start throwing questions at me to get us warmed up. Adam has a few questions already ready.
Yeah, this one, I don't know if it's for you specifically or if they're asking in the broader context of writing. But Austin says, how did you go about linking all of your magic systems together in the context of the wider Cosmere in a way that feels natural?
So I, like a lot of things related to the Cosmere, had a leg up because I had written so many books before I got published. I had written 13 novels before I got published, and among those novels were 6 or 7 pretty decent magic systems. And I started to notice sort of fundamental things that I did when building a magic system that were very common to my writing. And for a while, I'm like, well, I want to make sure I'm doing lots of variety, so I'll push this further. But I also kept noticing these connecting tissues, such as, what are some of these connecting tissues? Such as intent being important behind the scenes, to how the magic works, to the idea of the 3 realms, which is Romantic Theory showed up in Dragonsteel, which is the second Cosmere novel that I wrote, and is based a little bit on Plato's theory of the forms and things like that, but kind of taken my own way. And I always kind of started thinking of magic in that context. And because I had designed all of these things and was noticing themes, I always asked myself, where does the power for the magic come from, right? I don't want... I'm going to bend the laws of thermodynamics, but I'm not going to break them. I'm going to have a different sort of power source that's just fundamental to how I like to do magic. Where does the energy come from? And so building a common energy source to all of these was the first thing that I started to do, just very naturally, and it's part of what made me want to link the Cosmere together. Having the story, I kept having these stories where I wanted to tell stories about these kind of divine forces, the powers of gods put in the hands of mortals. What does that do? That's a common theme that started showing up in the stories that I was writing before I got published. And I said, well, if it's a theme, it's something you're really interested in, why not build it into the entire continuity? And that's where the idea of the shards came from. And I'm gonna do this, and creating Shadesmar and all of that. Just it grew out of things I did naturally and saw as themes in my writing. And the linking then was very natural because they all were coming from the same essential power source, and they all had a few fundamental rules they were following, mostly because that's how I build magic systems, right? If I have a problem, it's that when I try to build something that ends up not in the Cosmere, like Rhythmatist, it still just basically works with Cosmere magic, because that's a way that I build magic systems. Yeah, good question. But like a lot of things, a lot of my career's success can be traced back to the fact that I was really bad at this when I started, and I got a long time to practice before I went pro.
Philip wants to know if any of the characters in the Cosmere are inspired by specific comic book characters.
Specific comic book characters. Boy. I would not say that any of them are specifically inspired by comic book characters. Right? Granted, I've often mentioned my favorite antagonist of all time is Magneto. And that's left a big imprint on how I design relatable villains. And like most people, I really like the whole Spider-Man idea with great power comes great responsibility. And I read that in an early age, and it's been a part of how I view power dynamics, particularly for superpowered individuals, since I began writing, right? And so kind of splitting out that, and, Watchmen is a foundational text on how I view multi-genre storytelling, you get to see something fun from John. Magellan could we get some water? Do you have a water bottle over there so I can give him some water? He really wants to dunk. Here you go. Jello. Here. He loves to dunk things. You can't have the bottle today. You have to drink the water. Yeah. No, you can't have the bottle today. You have to, don't laugh. They're laughing. I'm not saying you guys can't laugh, but now he's laughing too. He imitates our laugh. Yeah, I know you want it. You want it really badly. Look at this whole toy. Yeah. That's a good question. Thanks, Kara. I'll try to keep them a little closer, so we don't wash on them. Because yes, he is going to, as you see, dunk his pieces of wood into the water. He dunks everything. Anything that he can get in his mouth, he takes over to his water and dunks it. Maybe to see if he can make it soft. Maybe because he just likes the texture that way. He is still, look at this. He is like a toddler. The bubble wrap is still as interesting to him as the $50 toy that I bought him. Yeah.
Just like when you buy a kid a toy,
yes.
They play with the box.
They play with the box. The bubble wrap is still, it's still of very much interest to him. But he will spend the whole evening cracking those pieces of wood and dropping them. And he can work through a toy like that in a day, maybe two, if he's very dedicated to breaking it apart. So that's one of the costs. Everyone warns you, macaws are expensive. So I was well aware of this. But if you weren't aware, if they get bored, then that's a very bad thing. And so you want to keep them always entertained. And usually that means colorful pieces of wood hung from whatever.
Otherwise, it will be a couch.
Yes. Otherwise, it'll be your couch or the buttons on your shirt. Or he'll just sit there and screech because he's bored in a "give me something to do" sort of way.
So I'm going to alter this next question a little bit to exclude anything that you've created. But Troy wants to know, what is your favorite fantasy race?
Favorite fantasy race? Excluding what I have created. Dragons, right? That's cheating, but that's my favorite, probably.
You consider those a race, not mythical creature, I guess?
I mean, they're intelligent.
They are intelligent. Depending on the book.
Depending on the book. So, from there, what is my favorite? If it's like you're saying, you're meaning humanoid.
Probably.
I am super partial to the Ogier. From Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time, and I would be hard pressed to if you're like, who do you want to hang out with? Who do you enjoy writing? I had so much fun writing the little bits of the Ogier I got to write. So probably Ogier.
Cool.
By the way, there's an Ogier Street in Charleston that. When I went to visit Harriet for the first time, she's like, "Oh, I'll take you down this street." And I looked, I'm like, "Hey!" She's like, "Yep." So that's where Robert Jordan's from.
Oh, excellent. Clayton says, "I think you said you started with the surges and worked from the bottom up. So what was the hardest Radiant Order to conceptualize in terms of virtue or ideal?" And
oh yeah. So virtue or ideal or powers. I can probably do all of those. So cracking how I wanted the Dustbringers to work was probably the trickiest of them all, because I knew that we were going to have, not to give spoilers, but some things happening with the Dustbringers that would predispose readers toward them in a certain way that I did not want the radiate order to exemplify, and I wanted to be sure what I thought the distinction was and why it was possible that they could go in a different direction. I'm trying to circumlocute all of these things to not spoil you. But, oh, by the way, I'm wearing it finally. You only gave this to me like 2 months ago, Kara. Our Raffo shirts. And so, if you aren't familiar with this phrase, it was a phrase that Robert Jordan used quite a bit, that kind of got associated with him and the fandom, and that one of the things that I inherited was saying, Raffo, read and find out. And so, we eventually, people have been asking us enough for a Raffo shirt that we went to Harriet and said, hey, would it be okay if we made a Raffo shirt? Like, it's not trademarked or anything, but it was Robert Jordan's thing, and she was fine with it. And we give a little bit of money to amyloidosis research for each of these sold, right? Kind of in Robert Jordan's memory.
That's the plan.
Yeah. These are, have we started selling these? Or, yeah? Okay. Yeah, so we give a little bit, just because it was his thing. And yes, I've inherited it, but, you know, we wanted to be a little bit, aware of that. So yeah, you can get Raffo shirts now, designed by Isaac. So they were the hardest, probably. Building up how to make the surges work. I would say that building up how I wanted the strong force and the weak force, and turning them into fantasticalized versions that basically have very little to do. Like, I even went kind of to surface tension and things like that. Those were the trickiest. Like, gravity was pretty obvious and ended up working pretty well, right? And so I didn't one-to-one move the fundamental forces over, by the way. I just took the idea of fundamental forces, but I wanted there to be nods to most of the fundamental forces in the surges, just because that's where the inspiration was, and because I was going to be using gravity quite obviously, because that's the one that made me most excited. And as you can see, the Windrunners and the Skybreakers were two of the first ones that we dealt a lot with, but there you are. So Isaac is here. You can come on if you want. You don't have to. Oh, Isaac's eating a cupcake?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, let me ask you a question.
I'll finish eating.
While he finishes
You
the
don't have to
cupcake,
come
and
on.
then
You can just hang out whenever you feel like coming on. Same for you, Steve. We've got Steve Argyle early. Whenever you feel like coming on. And Oliver, duck under here. So Dallin got to come on last week. So my youngest son Oliver is like, I want to be a YouTuber. The coolest thing I've ever done. Oh, you got to say hello to Jello now that he sees you. Whenever he sees one of my children, he says hello to them. Anyone he recognizes. Oliver, you like YouTube a lot, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you like to watch Unspeakable and stuff.
I watch YouTube a lot every time I do screen time.
Yep, every time you do screen time.
Almost.
Jello, he already said hello to you. You don't need to ask him 5 times. And so I promised Oliver he'd come and say hi. Do you want to answer a question from people, or you just want to say hi?
Sure.
Do you want to answer a question? Anyone got a question for a 7-year-old that you need burningly answered?
they're wondering if he has a favorite Avatar character.
Last Airbender?
They didn't specify, but I'm assuming so.
No, they have. We tried to show them Avatar, and they all were like, "This is boring." Basically, because we chose it. We plan to try again at some point, but yeah, they won't watch it. Anything that we choose.
Another one is, Oliver, what is your favorite book?
Ooh.
I don't really have a favorite book. I like a lot of books, but
Dogman? Would Dogman be your favorite? Probably Dogman. It's what you read the most.
Dogman is like the only one I read.
You read over and over again. We've read some other books together, but Dogman's the one you read over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite YouTuber?
Unspeakable.
Unspeakable. Yeah.
Are your dad's books too long?
They're really long. I don't really think they're too long.
Oh, that's a great answer.
Hello. Yes. You recognize
But
Oliver.
this is too long.
Yes, that is way too much stuff for me to have to sign. Are you going to say something else or just hello? Dance? Oh, dance for him. See if he'll dance for you, Dad. Oliver and there he said it. He said dance. They taught him to dance and to say dance.
So, dragon.
Good bird. Here, give him that. Good bird.
Here, have an almond.
Oh, he's too excited to even eat his almond.
I literally just dropped it.
Yep. He's too excited to have his toy and to see you. So, there you are. All right, Ollie. Run along. Say, yeah. Go ahead. Bye-bye. Yeah. Now Jello's going to be mad that Oliver has left.
YouTuber Potato wants to know what happened to your beard.
Oh, the beard. Oh, yes, you get a clean-shaven and well-groomed Brandon this week. So, my mom came down for the 24th of July, which is a state holiday where you can let off fireworks. And so we had to spring the surprise on her early. For those who don't know, the beard was being grown because 8 years ago or whatever, my brother and I, who never have beards, had beards coincidentally when my mom decided to do family pictures, and she's always grumbled a little bit about the fact that we have these giant beards. And so he and I both grew beards when she came down. We're doing family pictures in 2 weeks, but she came down early, so we made sure that we were both there when she saw us, and it took her a minute to figure out what we'd done, because Jordo often is a little scruffy. I'm rarely scruffy, but she saw that, and we got exactly the reaction we wanted, which is the most wonderful thing in the world, which is my mother's eye roll and her Brandon. And then I shaved it off because for a couple of reasons, but the main one being that if you're going to play a prank on someone like I did to my mother, I fully support innocent and non-harmful pranks played on loved ones. But one of the things I think people maybe don't learn is when to let it go. And when the prank stops being a prank and starts being mean is if I insisted on keeping it and making her think I was going to wear it the entire time and actually ruin her picture again. And so shaving it off the next day just was to let her know, no, this was just a joke, even though I had said that. Because I love my mother. I love pranking my mother is the best thing in the world, but I also don't want to torment my mother. And she would actually worry. She would say, well, he says he's going to shave it off. He probably will. But she would sit there and worry and worry. So I shaved off the beard. I actually don't generally like beards. I like how I look in them, but I really don't like the feel of them. And the 2-week mark, which is where it was last week, is the worst week for me. Once you get to about a month, it starts to be okay. But since I wasn't even going to be able to get to a month, or a month was right at the end, I'm just like, I am not going to keep wearing this thing. So, Steve, sorry you have to share the stage with my macaw. If you'd like us to buy you a toy next time, just let us know.
Yes, please.
So Steve is our special guest that we hinted about at our...
I told them earlier.
You did earlier? Okay.
Because I want people to be able to prepare questions.
Perfect.
About it. So, there's a folded one. Let's pull that out. But yes, Steve, the wonderful Steve Argyle. Do you want to list off his accomplishments? Isaac, do you have them handy?
Well, I can give some of them, and then maybe Steve can tell us some of them. So Steve's been working for a very long time. Started in video games, kind of, yeah.
Did you just call Steve old?
We're all
It's
old.
fair. I'm getting on in years.
So started in video games, but I mean he's well known for his Magic the Gathering work, as well as work on other card games and other things. But for us, he has been doing these really great Knights Radiant pieces. He did some pieces in the Mistborn Leatherbound. You did the end papers there, and he has also done the the end of part illustrations that are sort of in this Gustave Doré style, which really enhances the leather-bound book.
They look really nice.
So, and I know.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
They were really cool to do. It's something I've wanted to do for forever, basically. I've always loved that style, the old woodcut for the really important works of literature. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, it's all good.
You were praising me. Keep going.
Well, we own one of your Vin pieces from the Leatherbound, which hangs in Adam's office.
Thank you very much. I love it.
It's
Awesome.
actually a really nice backdrop for all the Zoom meetings and things I have to do in his office and whatnot. So, and some of I think in some of the Q&As that we've done occasionally that we've recorded, it's even been there. But you painted that on metal.
I did, because
Yes.
that makes it true.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So that was cool. It's the first time you painted on metal, I think. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's on like a steel plate or something, or
It's aluminum, so that it's not a billion pounds.
yeah.
But yeah, it's actually a really good surface to paint on. I was a little worried that I would paint it and it will all just like slide off. But I have some friends who are really amazing oil painters, and I ask them about it, and they're like, "Oh no, that's like the either copper or aluminum are like the best things to paint on. The reason we don't is because that gets pricey in a hurry." But they gave me some tips on how to make sure it sticks and bonds and everything. So
One of the things I find interesting these days is a lot of the pieces we're having done for us, like the end pages with the heralds, are not physical medium original. Like, so it's this weird thing where there's an original. We have the original of this, but you painted the digital version, and then painted originals after the digital version was done, using the digital version as a guide. Did we print the digital versions in the end pages? Or
So,
did
the end pages of Oathbringer,
yeah.
I believe, so Howard's pieces in that, so Jezrien and Vev are both original.
So we just scan. We
So
actually scanned
those are actual
ones.
photographs.
Yeah.
Yep, those are. There might have been some digital touch up on that, but and then Howard goes back and fixes that
Yeah.
in oils. I believe that
Dan Dos Santos is both of them. Don't we have the digital versions?
well, Ash, there is a physical version.
But he painted after he did.
I'm not sure on that one.
Or maybe not. I don't know.
But Ishar, the
Yeah,
priest one, I believe that most of that, or Dan has said a good chunk of that is digital, and that he's in process of finishing the original on
which
that.
is- yeah.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to me that now in this digital realm, it's like you paint a painting, then you paint a painting of that painting.
But the front end papers for Rhythm of War, which now everybody's like, whoa, leaning forward in their seats. The front end pages are exactly the process that you described earlier, where they were created digitally by one artist and they are being painted in oils by a separate artist who worked with the original artist
Yeah.
in conjunction. So it's kind of it's a collaboration of sorts,
The
which has
Schlong
been.
painting in the front of Words of Radiance is that way, right? Because didn't Michael work with Ben?
Michael worked with Ben on that one,
Yeah.
and Ben created some layouts and different concept art that Michael had contracted him to work on, and then Michael went on to finish one of those.
Yeah.
So that was really a nice collaboration as well, I think. And what a cool thing for Ben to do.
So do we have some things to announce first, and then we can go to questions, or do you want to do?
It depends on when you want to announce things.
Let's do the stretch goal rewards, because I know that's one of the things. So we are into our last week of the Kickstarter, basically starting about now, maybe like tomorrow morning, I guess.
Yeah.
Tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow afternoon. Yep. We will end next Friday. Not tomorrow. Next Friday at 3 p.m.
3 p.m. Okay.
Mountain Time.
So we are very close to the bumper sticker, and so we gave a lot of thought to. We wanted to do kind of end with a bang, 2 really cool ending stretch goals to get us further. And so Isaac is going to show off some of these, and so we have one at 6.5 and one at 7.
Yep.
Right?
So don't put it up just yet. I'll let you know when to put it up. They should be in order. So we'll want to start with 01.
Uh-huh.
The first off, I will update the graphics for these probably tonight on the Kickstarter. I was working on Rhythm of War art that needs to be turned in soon. I'm sure all of you want that.
Yep.
Stretch. Guess my email's slow.
Oh, okay. Stretch goals. And so the first one is going to be at 6.5 million. No, yeah, that's correct. Yes, 6.5. And it is going to be coasters. And we'll show you the designs for these coasters.
Yes.
They're not all completely finished. We reserve the right to change these slightly, but it's pretty close to what you're going to get. And we're thinking of probably a pack of 4 of these drink coasters.
Yeah, when we sent out the survey, that was one of the highest responded ones that people were interested in. And then we sat and said, what would we do? And we started riffing off of each other, Isaac and me and
Adam, Kara, Emily.
We just started laughing and loving it, and came up with 4 Stormlight themed drink coasters for you that I just love. These are my favorite things, except for maybe the Witcoin. This is my favorite thing that's happening. And as soon as we have artwork from those, with the poor computer who has to both look this up and stream, we will put them up. Pack of 4.
Pack of 4 for that.
Yeah, I designed the first one just in concept, and then you suggested.
It was Adam.
He suggested the second one. Yeah.
I don't remember who said who.
You suggested the last one. I can't remember who did the middle one. Somebody. It wasn't me. Someone was here.
No, I think we were just bouncing them all off of each other.
Creativity like that's hard to really figure out who
Yeah.
said what.
Yeah. So.
Except for I know I said everything that was awesome, and other people said everything that was lame.
Right,
So,
right.
That's the only thing I know.
You keep telling yourself that out of
Every day.
So
We're ready.
We're ready?
Alright,
Okay, so
first
let's
drink
pull
coaster.
up the first drink coaster
For
here.
Ratho, right?
Yep.
Yep, so is that live? Okay, so I don't have it here in front of me, but I'm gonna kind of looking off of Adam's screen. So on the left we have the front of it, and on the back we have the back of it, and that's kind of how it's going to go for all 4 of these. So Raffo soda, drink Raffo soda. Drew some inspiration from
the shirt.
From the shirt
Yeah.
for one. So you'll see some similar typography, but also looking at old Dr. Pepper and Coke ads and saying, what would we do? Raffo soda on the back. You deserve a nice cold can of Read and Find Out. Spoiler free.
The spoiler free was a really nice addition. Who came up with that?
I think that one was
The caffeine.
That might have been
free or
you.
something?
Yeah, that might have been Adam.
I like this because I often, I use Raffo a lot, and I've often said, you deserve a Raffo. And almost kind of in this, you deserve a nice can of Raffo. And I'm going to open a can of Raffo on you. Is kind of where that came from. And so a nice little Raffo soda sounds really good to me. Second one was Adam's suggestion.
Yeah.
I think this was Isaac, and then I came up with the motto.
Oh, okay.
Something like that, yeah. We can I tell people your favorite drink?
Sure.
Yeah, so Adam really likes the White Monster drinks, and so that's kind of where I came up with it.
Yeah.
I looked at Adam, I'm like, of course, we need an energy drink.
Yeah.
So you're good to put that up.
So
when you've hit the storm wall, is that what it says? When you've hit the storm wall, you know what to do.
Yeah. Chasm Fiend energy drink.
Chasm Fiend energy drink, and the flavors on there are one of these flavors come up by Ben McSweeney. Sweet sour spray,
The sweet scale spray.
scale spray, and strawberry jam.
Strawberry jam.
Before or after? Yes, no. is my question.
Yeah. Don't give spoilers.
Yes.
But yes. We were really kind of searching for another drink coaster we could do.
I suspect this is a drink from Shinovar, so some of the flavors are going to be kind of in that vein.
Yes. All right, number 3.
So number 3, we don't have the colors on it yet. It'll probably be a 2-color one.
Yep.
This is the one-armed Herdazian Chowta stand. So on the front, we've got kind of our favorite one-armed Herdazian with his Chowta. And the back, Adam, why don't you read it? Because you can see it right there.
So it says one-armed Chowta for the little Gonchos, two-armed Chowta for hungry Herdazians, flatbread filled with 4 fantastic flavors: spicy lavis, white spine and gravy, chunked chole, and grilled sky eel. Genuine soul-cast meat enhanced to imitate. Oh, wow. Imitate various robust flavors. Savor your snack with any of our spectacular sauces. Creme white cream, vine bud vinegar, blackthorn peppercorn. Try our Kremling crisps.
So a lot of this was written by Ben McSweeney, filling out kind of the thing.
I think yours. I think you suggested
The Chowta stand, that might have been me.
Yeah.
But and then Brandon and I kind of revised it to fit.
We had to get
some of the lore
Soulcast thing on there and some stuff like
Yep.
that. So yep. And then last but not least, I think my favorite of them all.
Yeah, this one's fun. Horn-Eater White. Horn-Eater White, Unkalaki Moonshine. And on the back it says...
Not intended for airsick lowlanders.
Not intended for airsick lowlander. Right?
That picture by Ben is just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suspect we'll see shirts or something like that
Yeah.
in the future for these.
Man.
Is that going to get full coloring, or is it just black and white
We're
with
still
the red?
working on
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
I've
we're
seen
still.
a mock-up of the front that has full coloring on
And that's
it.
on there. Yeah.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what they look best as. We don't want to go too crazy with the coloring because they're drink coasters, and like drink coasters are supposed to be like they look good in 2-tone or 3-tone. But we'll see. We'll see what you know.
Yeah. So some of these will be adjusted once we figure out where we're printing them and things like that. We've looked into several places, but we have to know what their capabilities are.
Yep. So you get a 4-pack of those. Everyone who's already ordered physical rewards, as soon as we get to 6.5, if we do, those are all yours. They'll be thrown in your order in addition. So
it should be noted that when we put these in there, it does not change your shipping costs.
Nope.
It's already
we
what
picked
you
something that's light enough because a lot of the shipping we're using, it's up to this amount is this cost for what we're shipping.
Yeah.
And so, yep. So should be I'm really excited by that.
I think
We
those
have
will be
1
fun.
week left. We're hoping that people will spread around the Kickstarter. It's already been done way better than we expected,
Yeah.
so we have no room to complain. But we know there are a lot of people who haven't jumped on yet based on how many people clicked, I want to watch this, and then actually bought something. And so we thought we would throw on a few more stretch goals for the last week and see if we can hit them.
And this next one, I know a lot of people requested it. It's the one that I'm the most excited
Yes.
about, and I completely understand why it is where it is in the
Yes.
stretch goal scheme. So
It's expensive.
So
It's very expensive.
Before we put that up there, this is something that if we reach this goal,
Yeah.
even people who are not part of the Kickstarter
Yeah.
will be able to benefit from this. So this benefits
Yeah, we
everybody.
wanted something that would be for the digital only people, because they're getting. If you're digital only, you're still getting all of these these cards and things. We'll be sending you all of the artwork, and things like that, so you could make your own drink coasters out of them. Right? You will have all of this stuff in your digital art package that you can print off yourself, and we will give you, I don't know how the license will look, but we'll give you some little note in there that you can maybe show to someone, a printer, say, for personal use, this person can print this, right? I don't know if we can do that. I don't know what our lawyer says, but you're hearing it from me. You can take this to a print shop for personal use, any of these things, if you're doing digital only, and make your own coasters, make your own, print, things like that.
Yeah, it should be noted that we'll be keeping these at the 1920 by 1080 resolution, which for most purposes should be just fine for personal.
Right. But you have, if you're doing digital art, you have my permission to do these things. Do stuff, get stuff printed off for yourself with them. That's why we're doing the digital art packages, so you can do that. But we wanted something that would specifically be for people who were not getting the physical rewards that everyone would enjoy.
Okay.
And you have a graphic for it. I
So-
think you are so on the ball.
Well, it's kind of was made about 17 minutes ago, really quickly. But we should mention that Adam did a lot of legwork for this one.
Yes.
But we're going to the 7 million stretch goal. We're going to release at some point in the future the Way of Kings Prime audiobook read by Kate Redding and Michael Kramer.
Yep.
So, and the other thing that's mentioned on there is that we're looking to platforms, but we're going to get it on a platform online that is going to be free for everybody to be able to just go and listen to
We
it.
will. So even if you aren't part of the Kickstarter, we will put it on. We're not sure where. SoundCloud or something like that, maybe by chapter. We will put it up in a free place for you to download and listen to. Released to everyone.
And where you can go to find that at some point, we'll announce it, but it will probably have a link right next to where we have the link to download the free ebook version of that book.
And we, for those who really like this sort of thing, we probably will get a podcast service and just be like, hey, put it up on the podcast service, so you can get it through your podcast player if you wanted to. Or something like that. Like we might take it to Stitcher or somebody. We have no idea. If this gets here though, we will. Michael and Kate have been wonderful, and we are going to take the excess money that would come from getting to that point in the Kickstarter, and we are going to pay their very reasonable but still expensive, because that's what an audiobook is, fee, and get you guys an audiobook. So spread it around. Oh. Yeah, you can't get to me. I'm sitting specifically far enough away that you cannot have the buttons. You can try. So yeah, spread it around. Tell your friends, and let's we'll do a push for our last week. We'll be here Thursday next week, also on the last day, and do a stream then. And maybe we'll be there by then. Maybe we won't. Who knows? But either way, we wanted to kind of knock these last ones out of the park, and so I think that you two have done that, Isaac and Adam.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And Kara.
Yeah, no, the whole team. We've got so many people working on this that.
Well, yes, the team.
Everyone but Kathy.
The team suffered an avalanche.
There was a literal Sanderlanche.
Yes, a literal Sanderlanche. The posters fell over. Thousands of posters fell on top of. No one got hurt, did they?
Minor.
Minor hurts? Uh-oh.
Well, I'm sure whoever was hurt deserved it.
So, yes, the posters toppled over.
They're fine.
Because they were in the shipping boxes that we put them in.
Very secure.
Yeah, they're in triangle boxes, which looked really cool on the wall. It looked like
But, yes, so poor Hazel is dealing with workplace hazards she had not expected in a mountain of posters falling on top of her. But let's go to some questions for a while. Particularly if you guys have questions for Steve while we've got him here, or Isaac or me, any of us, it's fine. And then Steve's going to show us some of the art in a little bit. That some of the orders prints that we haven't done yet. So. We haven't showed off yet.
Yeah, and we do have some questions for Steve.
Yeah,
fantastic.
The first one is from Philip. They're looking to know what your process is for creating art for Brandon or Brandon's books, and how much time do you spend researching characters or settings to get them right?
Well, the first thing I do is I read the book, or I read it again. Like for the Stormlight stuff, I have listened to it as a book on tape, and I realized that book on tape was kind of casual, and so I hadn't picked up enough details, so I went and I read it real slow, real careful, taking notes as I went. And one of the things that I like is that there's a lot of descriptions of impressions rather than really, really specific things, so that there's some interpretation open. I think Dalinar is described as halfway chiseled out of stone, like an unfinished statue.
Yeah,
that gives you.
Has a broken nose, and many wouldn't consider him attractive, and that he has silver highlighting his temples. But I don't do a lot of. I do very intentionally these. I really like. I've talked about it before. That part of books is that you imagine something in your head and it becomes yours when you do. And so really lengthy descriptions I stay away from. I try to draw in pretty broad strokes what the image of the character would be, and then I love seeing how people paint them and draw them.
And it's really great for an artist. It makes it a little more difficult sometimes because you do have that open road of well, it's not a checklist, right? And so I did a lot of sketching trying to figure out the shard plate because a lot of the descriptions are the impression you get when you see it. You know, it's massive, it's impressive. You would never mistake it for regular armor, but it still works kind of like regular armor. It's plates. There's no chainmail. There's nothing like that. It's all smaller and smaller plates. And you can go a lot of directions with that, it turns out.
And you gave us a lot of sketches going different directions.
Yeah, and it ranged from, I think the first one I gave you was almost like a form-fitting suit of scales.
It was like elven armor is sometimes drawn for Tolkien and things like that, where it's like a second skin.
Yeah, and it was pretty clear right from the beginning, like, that's not what shard plate should look like, you know? And so we talked about they should kind of look like walking tanks. Somewhat elegant, scary walking tanks.
Yeah. That Isaac said to me, that really clicked when you said, "Oh, they're tanks. They're the Rosharan version of a World War II tank on the battlefield." We're like, yes.
So I did a bunch of sketches and I kind of arrived at a template for this is what I want all shard plate to have. And then I looked at all of the different orders and I said, so I want, ultimately, if I did it right, what I want is that if you see a piece of shard plate, you will know what order it goes with, right? You'll know it's shard plate right away, but you'll also be like, that looks like Dustbringer shard plate. So I tried, and I spent a really long time just sketching idea after idea after idea, trying to get a visual language for all of the orders. And I hope it shows. You guys will see some in a bit.
Yeah, we can bring them up whenever you want. You could show off like several of them and talk about how you did them differently, or you can take more questions first. It's really up to you.
Sure. So yeah, to finish up that question, that's pretty much the process, and it's not usually that involved. Most clients have a real specific thing that they want. One of the things I really like about working with Brandon is he kind of trusts the artists, and he says, I want something kind of like this. We talk about it. He's really open to different ideas, and Isaac is a great art director to collect all of our ideas and organize them, gives great feedback, super easy to work with. And
we really like when an artist says, I've always wanted to do something like this, and no one's ever hired me to do that. We like hearing that. We're like, we want to hire you to do that. Let's see what it looks like.
And that's exactly what happened with those kind of woodcut style pieces. We were just hanging out, playing Magic, and I don't remember exactly how it started.
I think maybe even Kat brought up a picture and said, what about something like this or something? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, she mentioned that way back when I pitched a graphic novel idea that was this kind of woodcut stuff, and I'd figured out how to make some shortcuts to make it faster.
Yeah.
But they didn't go for it. And ever since, I'm like, I just want to do like these woodcut things.
By the way.
Right.
Somebody else.
This was 10 years ago. This was when it was probably a good idea that they said no, because I don't know if I could have handled it. But we started talking about like Gustave Doré and the Divine Comedy, where they used to do these really intense woodcuts that were incredible for their day. They're incredible now.
Yeah, some of those just look so cool, even still.
Yeah. And I got to see a Gustave Doré exhibit where I saw some of these things in person. And ever since then, I've been obsessed. I'm like, I have to do this. And it was twofold, right? One, I really want to do this, but also I need to find something that is like worthy. of that kind of
Well, it has
classics
to be,
treatment.
It'd have to be like a special sort of thing, right? Because it worked really well for this because a lot of our art in the books has this sort of, this was made using an old school process. Like what sort of thing we try to evoke. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it goes really well because you've got like Ben's sketches from
Yeah.
from Shalon's sketchbook and stuff. There's a lot of different art that fits really well because it's embedded in the world. It's not, well, I'm drawing a picture from a story I read. It's
Yeah.
no, these are the ones that are in
Right.
the world. This
Like
is
these-
Shalon's sketchbook.
These pieces you can imagine as diegetic. Someone told the story of Bridge 4 and things like that later in the Stormlight, and someone made up a bunch of wood cuttings to commemorate that, right? Like, that's what this is.
I think I just learned a new word. Diegetic?
Diegetic means in-world. They use it in screenwriting or in stuff like that. The music that you hear in a film, I didn't know this for years, is what they call non-diegetic most of the time, meaning the characters are not hearing that. I maybe have expanded its use to mean art. I'm not sure if I'm using it 100% correctly, but diegetic music is when they turn on a radio and you're hearing it, but most music is non-diegetic. And our artwork, we try to make diegetic. We try to make them ephemera, pieces of art from the world that the characters could conceivably have in hand.
And we were just calling them ephemera until I think Ben brought this word up to me.
And I had heard it a lot
and you'd heard it too.
in screenwriting for things. And so, so these wood blocks, we could even say, if you guys look really closely, you'll find a Steve in the fourth book. Keep your eyes open. It's not too hard to spot, actually. That they are the creation of Steve's in-world avatar in the Stormlight Archive, because he's an artist too.
I'm excited for that. I have Brandon let me in on the beta reading, but I actually have not done it yet because I haven't read it. And I know you guys are thinking, what? Why? And I just really wanted to focus on getting the artwork done, and I knew I'd get
Audiobooks, don't you?
so.
No, is it Cat who likes audiobooks?
No, I do. I love audiobooks, and I really like the graphic audio company that does like your Mistborn and stuff. However, for the Stormlight Archive specifically, I like just reading it. I catch more. It's not as casual, and I just really like the voices in my head. So the Way of Kings I listened to on audiobook first, and like I mentioned earlier, I felt like I missed too much when I went back to read it, and I was like, wait, I don't even remember this scene. I don't remember this character, and I know what it is. It's that I listen as I work, and sometimes I'm starting to think in words as I'm painting, and it's just it fades off. I'm not actually paying attention. So if a book is important to me, I read it. It's much slower. But I think it's you and Terry Pratchett. Those are the two that I will sit down and read. Absolutely. You know,
the number of times that I've been talking to someone while signing their books and accidentally written what I was saying is it's embarrassingly high.
I've done that too. Or for me, like magic cards.
Yeah.
They'll be talking about the card, and I'll write the card name instead of my name.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
I've done that with the book title before. This is, people ask why I sometimes go on autopilot when I'm answering questions and answer the questions wrong. It's because this mode shifting, I've trained myself to start talking and just keep talking while I pay attention and double check that what I'm writing is, By the way, Isaac, do we need to get a chain so that you can climb up and down? I think this is establishing that guests on the stream need to.
Maybe I need to get a bird.
I think we need to bring in Jenga too. You know?
Right, yeah. There we go. I could chew on Jenga blocks while...
Those who are only seeing his tail, he is trying really hard to bite the chain off the ceiling. He would be very sad if he made it happen because he has done this many times before, that he bites off the thing that he is hanging to. But his feathers have grown into the point that he can actually hover. We're trying to get him to learn how to actual fly, but today I saw him go. He actually gained altitude for a second as he was flying off of something. So it's not as dangerous for him as it would be for someone else, but you would still be sad if you bit that off, Jello. And they can only see his tail waggling as he tries very hard to bite that chain off. You buy him this nice toy, right? And what does he do? Climbs the chain and bites the hook on the ceiling. Yes, we are talking about you.
So, do we want to do more questions? You want to talk about
Sure.
the art that you have, whatever you prefer?
Sure, and you know what, we can, if you want, you can throw the art up, and that
Yeah.
could start generating some questions.
I have a question for you.
Oh, okay.
But this is going back to the Dore stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really curious about what the sizes were on those because, you know, the things we're putting in our books are roughly 6x9. And what did they print those old ones at?
So one of the most impressive things about it is they're basically page size.
Wow.
Like, I don't know how they got the kind of detail. I mean, there are some larger ones too, but the whole purpose was to illustrate manuscripts.
And you just print it while you're, you just thonk it into it, right?
Yeah,
So were those copperplate inscriptions? Do you know?
I think so. They didn't.
You can
they
get a
didn't
lot
have
of
that
detail
stuff. They
with
had
those.
prints, but they didn't have
They
the
didn't
actual
have the actual
plates.
copper
I
plates.
really wanted them to have the
That
actual plates.
that would be really interesting to see.
Yeah,
Nerdy art things.
yeah, and some of the other artists who've done stuff like that. Bernie Wrightson did Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and
That stuff is great.
yeah, if you haven't seen it, it's gorgeous. So yeah, check that out.
Yeah.
We'll go to a question. I don't want
Yeah,
to go
I was
too
just
far down a
curious
rabbit
how-
hole.
Yeah, I was curious how
The
big
Question
they
or
were.
the art?
Let's do another question.
Okay, so the next question we have is for both Isaac and Steve with the follow-up to Brandon.
Okay.
It says, Isaac and Steve, light weaving is obviously useful for art, but so is having breaths. Which magic system, out of them all, would you like access to? And Brandon, do you think any future books would change their minds when they're done answering?
Oh.
So the problem is, I would abuse light weaving. I would be a dark light weaver of some sort. I would just be like, oh, I can make anything look like anything. Oh, this is dangerous.
Your avatar is a light weaver.
Really? Okay,
Yes.
cool.
We chatted over with you what order you might want to be in, and so, yes. Your avatar's a little more melodramatic than you are.
Really?
But yes.
That's a thing?
But Isaac's
awesome.
Isaac's in-world, we say avatar, your namesake. Isaac's is a lot grumpier than Isaac actually is. He's one of the kindest human beings I know, and his in-world avatar, the royal cartographer, everyone's always complaining about him.
And Shalon was like, man, that guy is uppity. It's something like that in one
Yeah.
of the books.
Yeah, and you even have Naz write stuff about him sometimes. Though.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
It would definitely be awesome to be a light weaver.
So
I wouldn't really be evil.
Yeah. I'm not sure what I would do with illusion stuff. I would have to think about it, but that's the one I would choose over the breaths.
Yeah.
Probably because I think that the thought of where the breaths come from would bug me quite a bit. Just that I had left somebody drab somewhere. Even if I got him secondhand, I'd just be like, I'm not sure I like how this economy is built on. I think it's a cool magic system, but light weaving. Kara, what would I do with light weaving? My wife knows me better than I do.
What would you do with it? You probably would use it and then you disperse it and then use it and then disperse it.
Ooh, I know what I would do. I know what I would do. I would light weave original paintings to hang on my walls.
That's true.
I would have things that look.
Duplicate 'em.
I would duplicate original famous paintings. Like I'd have some Van Goghs. I would probably try to lick them.
Have them be moving.
Yeah, there you go.
I would
Yeah.
have the most authentic LARP costume of all time.
There you go. Oh man, Halloween
It
would
would
be
appear.
so
Yeah,
fun
right?
as a light weaver.
Halloween?
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Halloween would be, it's already one of my favorite holidays. I would totally do that. But I do that for every holiday. It's like, hey, it's President's Day. Hello, I'm Abraham Lincoln.
Pop out.
If there's a Halloween this
that
year,
would be
I've been instructed that I have to be a pirate.
This might be my first Halloween here forever, because normally there's a convention.
Yeah,
But-
is it Luca?
Luca.
Yeah, usually you're at Luca. which is a great convention, but is in Italy, and yeah.
Yeah, well, they're doing it. Like they've decided that Italy's calmed down enough, and they're taking it seriously enough that Luca's on. It's just Americans can't go to Italy.
Yeah.
At least right now. So I probably won't make it.
So, Brendan, do you think anything in the future would change their minds?
No, I mean, there will be other magics, but we have hit all of the core Cosmere magics, except for the Aethers, right? And I don't think Aethers would be enough to tempt them away, possibly. But yeah, that would be my guess. I mean, there will be other little magics because I always have things like that I'm writing, but there's only one major magic system that hasn't been used extensively on screen.
Another question for Steve. Are there any really compelling scenes from any of Brandon's books that you knew you wanted to paint as soon as you read them?
That's how much time you got. Yes,
An hour and 2 minutes.
And
So
that's where the so part of the woodcut thing. That's part of where that came from. Was Isaac was already talking to me about doing one of the gallery pieces for Way of Kings, and he was like, "So we've got some of these. We're assigning them, and is there one you have a preference for?" And I was difficult. I'm like, "Yes, all of them, please." And one of I really wanted to do I wanted to do the scene I did. That was my top one, right?
What, the Bonnie
We
piece?
have, yeah, we have to use it.
Yep, we have released that one, and it is gorgeous, and I love
Thank
it.
you.
Powerful.
And then there's now my second favorite is
Try not to spoil it.
I'm
if you can.
trying to think how to
Yeah.
phrase them. It's Dalinar with Oathbringer, right?
At the
Is that at the end? You know, that's not spoiling.
Nope.
And I was like, so that's my second favorite. Then one of the most pivotal moments for me was early in the book, and it was with Kaladin. I really want to do that, and so we'd already talked a little bit about doing these woodcut things. So Isaac's like, well, we could give you two, maybe, and he was like, you know what? Actually, you're doing those end part woodcuts. Maybe there's one per part. And as I'm listening through them, I'm like, yeah, actually, because I wanted to do Chasm Fiend. I wanted to do Kaladin. I wanted to do
We've got the stew.
The stew, and then Shalon.
And so really, I feel like I got to hit. I mean, there are more scenes. Don't get me wrong. If I had the time, I would do one per chapter. But that's a lot of. It's 92-ish chapters. Is that?
There's usually a lot.
Which I would love to do if I had the time. Absolutely.
The 50-year leather-bound edition.
oh,
I'm not making any promises.
Yeah. You watch out. You say things like that.
I know. Then we have chicken scouts the
Then we
next
have
day.
chicken scouts. Yes. So,
You guys need to work your lesson.
did we release the chicken scout art?
I need to do that this
Okay.
week. Lots of graphics and things that need to be done, but Rhythm of War is
Yes.
taking precedence right
so
now.
maybe on next week's Kickstarter update, is that what we're thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
Maybe we
That'd
can
be a
just
good
release them. I mean, you don't have to. You can just do what we have. They don't
Yeah.
have to be
Yeah, that's true.
perfectly.
I was going to try to make one look like the patch because we're.
Yeah, that's true. It's a patch.
So
The
I'll
chicken scout
release
ones
that.
both turned out really great, guys. I will
Yeah.
I will tell you. For being a silly little joke, they've actually turned out very cool.
I can describe what we're doing with the Chicken Scout.
Yeah.
Right now it's called a sticker pack. That's because I was brain dead when I put it up. It's actually a sticker sheet, and it's like the other sticker sheets. But this one is basically just going to have sticker versions of some of the badges that you could get if you came to Roshar.
Yep.
And it will involve our little chicken mascot, which we will reveal soon, and also...
Looks suspiciously like someone who is dropping wood on our floor.
Yes. And has earned his chain climbing merit patch.
Yeah.
But those are really great. Ben is killing it with those. Doing a great job.
Yeah. So, why don't we do Steve's art?
Sounds good.
And I believe I have these pulled up in order, because I think you had them numbered 1 through 3.
Oh, yes, but they're not actually in order. I thought about it after the fact. I'm like, oh, actually, there is a sequence, and I should have done that.
Yeah,
but
it's not in the actual sequence. So
Yeah,
that's
they're-
fine. Let's
Okay.
bring them up.
Okay, so here's the first one, which is the Skybreaker, Elsecaller, and Bondsmith.
Oh, all together, you've got all three.
Yeah,
of
they're
them. Yeah,
since it's wide,
Yeah,
wide format.
yeah. So you maybe can talk about, like, you designed the armor very. They're all shard plate, but they look different based on which order and things like that. And you and Isaac spent a lot of time coming up with the colorations that you thought would look good in the poster and things like that. So, how did you decide on various types of shard plate for various orders?
Well, I tried to take some of their personality and some of their powers and adjust that kind of template shard plate to fit. So, like the Else Callers, they're more mysterious. They're darker. For him in specific, I just wanted to do giant,
Yeah.
crazy.
That's the most tank-like of them all, I think.
That guy
Yes.
is so yeah. You don't want to meet him on a battlefield or anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll see with all the various pieces, like, I think looking at just these three, you're only getting the contrast of the Skybreakers and the Else Callers. Sorry, yes. But, like, when we get to some of the other ones, you can see, like, when we get to the Dustbringers, they're
That's my
very
favorite.
angular, very sharp.
Of the shard plates you did.
Thank you.
I saw the final on that just today. It turned out great.
I think it's my favorite, too.
Yeah.
It came together really well.
I love the
Let's go to that
Yeah.
painting then.
You said the Dustbringer?
Well, is it just...
There
It's on
should
the
just
next
be
one. I can do
two,
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
right?
let's do number two.
the black and gold and red is one of my favorite color schemes, and it just So one of the things when we were working on this, I think we had tried a slightly different color scheme on this at first, and it wasn't quite working. And then I think I said to you, make them look like Sith lords, but in Roshar, right? So I think you did a great job. They just look dark and cool and awesome.
Yeah, I think the description that you gave me was that they're not bad guys, but they're terrifying, even to other shard bearers, because of the way they do things. And so they're not bad guys, but they
Right,
kind of
yes.
look,
But they should look.
they're misunderstood.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
Even by some of the members in their group.
I wonder how many people have done screen grabs of this so far. Sorry.
That is just, fine. One of the things that I like that we talked about and how it turned out is that some of them, both figures in shard plate, some of them neither in shard plate, some you got one in one. And I like the variety of how these all look. I think these would look really cool in a sequence, all 10 of them together on a wall, or someone's favorites of them together, something like that.
Yeah, I hope so. I think so. It's one of we started with some ideas of more scenes where they were in a setting that made sense and they were doing a thing. But the more we talked about it, the more we thought we kind of want them to be a representation of everybody in a not uniform, but that they all fit together. Because
Right.
we had talked more about. At first, it was kind of a like source book where they were just going to be on a blank background,
Almost like you get in like a D&D where it's like, here is an
Yeah.
orc. Yeah.
and so we ended up kind of somewhere in the middle where you get a full body. It's illustrative of what they look like, what everything is, but they're still in a setting and they're
Yeah.
they all
evoke
fit
the setting.
together.
It's like they've got a background behind to evoke the setting, but more it's the focus is on the figures.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
And at some point, these will probably wind up on the quiz pages.
Yeah.
Without the background, kind of as here's a representation of that order, just to give people more of an idea
Yeah.
after they read about it and take the quiz.
So if you look at like the Dustbringers, you can see, and what's the other one next to the Dustbringers on that one? I forgot.
It looks like Lightweavers on the left, and then we have
Okay.
the two ones that are work in progress.
So it's a good example of how there are common threads. They have the chest plate that's got the spheres infusing them behind them, so you have to have room, and it's extra protection. Big shoulder pads to And the shoulder pads are all kind of the most decorative piece, right? They have a lot more.
Pauldrons, right?
Pauldrons, yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Shad will correct us if we're wrong.
Ben might, too.
Yeah,
He's,
it's true.
He's in the chat.
So that's like the general theme is they've got kind of decorative shoulder pads, big chest plate, big hip guards for protection, and then within that, the shape language changes between the orders. So the Dustbringers have very sharp, angular pieces and aggressive designs drawn on them, whereas the Lightweaver, Shallan, she has more flowing, soft, less.
Awesome on the shoulders. Sorry.
And so I say that a lot. That must be my my thinking word is,
Yes.
and so I'll try to avoid that. And filler words. Moving on.
We are not doing. We are hanging out.
Yeah.
Don't worry about watching your words.
All right.
Yeah.
So for each order, I tried to create kind of a theme, shape-wise, whether it's more square, which you'll see with the stone wards, because they're the infantry, they're the soldiers, they're the front line, so they have the most thick, functional armor. The edge dancers are going to have a little more sleek, because no spoilers. And so each one I tried to come up with their own unique shape language within the structure of the shard plate frame.
and you've done a great job with it, too. I think they
Thank you.
all look very unique, and you would see that and go, hey, Edge Dancer, or whatever.
And then there's one more sheet if you wanted to talk about that. That's going to
Absolutely.
be right here. Your Windrunners, Will Shapers, and Truth Watchers.
All right. I had a lot of people asking me about the Truth Watchers. That apparently is the one people have wanted to see the most.
Yes.
So the Truth Watchers, you may recognize one of the characters, may not. It's hard to tell who he is unless
Yes.
you've seen the other artwork.
Yes.
So,
No spoilers.
no spoilers.
Yep.
That's been the hardest thing. Is everybody online is like, oh, who's the other one? And they're putting out their own theories and all this, and I'm just like,
We have mentioned when we released some of these that it says, yeah, there are some familiar characters in here, but there are also people who are just representing the order.
Historical. Yes. Or not all of these are characters specifically from the
Yeah.
books right now. Or some of them are characters from a long time ago that's just like, yeah. So you don't have to match every person.
Yeah, exactly.
The ones you expect to be able to find, you will be able to find. But that doesn't mean that the others are. Not all of the others are deep clues about the future. A couple are, right? A couple are looking toward the future, but yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
it's hard not to give spoilers.
So we've done 9 of them showed off tonight.
So we have 8 that are at least in final draft format, right?
Yeah.
I think we were gonna talk about a couple of tweaks maybe,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I
Then
think
two
we're
of them-
only tweaks at this point.
2 of them are just previews. The
Yeah.
stone wards are almost done, and then the edge dancers are
Yeah.
a little further off, but they'll be done quite soon.
Yep. So there we are.
So what were the ones on that sheet there? There was
It was Windrunner, Will Shaper, and Truth Watcher.
I do have to mention the Will Shapers because I love their gold and purple armor. I just
thank you.
think it's so cool. I think that's one of my favorite color schemes on this. Is I really love the black, red, and gold of the Dustbringers, and I love the purple and gold of the Will Shapers.
Thank you. And that's thanks to Isaac. I turned in an earlier version, and Isaac came and said, we actually have kind of reworked the color scheme. You don't have to change yours. You've already done the work. But he showed me the new color scheme, and I'm like, oh, that's going to be better. That's going to work. That's going to work so much
I
better.
think we were so when I was making these color schemes, I took the dominant color that we know of. It's in the magic chart at the beginning. And then I tried to find secondary colors that would work well with them. And usually there was a metallic color that went along with that was a tertiary.
Yeah.
And the Wheel Shaper's tertiary color before was like a platinum color. And that does look good with purple, but it's not quite as striking as gold and purple. There's a lushness to that is really cool.
Thanks. I like it. And I was really excited to do a singer.
Yes. I have loved seeing how the different singer art has come in. Yeah. We've got some really gorgeous ones, both in this book and in Rhythm of War, coming in. So.
Yep.
Um,
As well as, I don't know if we revealed it yet, but Ben has done some on the stickers, too.
oh yeah, I think we did reveal at least one of those.
Yeah. Would this be a good time for you to talk about
Oh yeah.
the prints?
Oh, yes. So, if you guys are signed up for certain reward tiers, you're going to get either one of these, your chosen order with your swag pack, or there is the big bundles where you get all the swag, you get all 10. And then there is also going to be add-ons where you can just decide, I want all 10 prints. I don't think you do them piecemeal, right?
Yeah.
We're
all
not doing
10
the
or-
baseball.
Pick a different order and say, I want a second order, but you get all the stuff for that order,
Yeah.
including the print.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, I will have them available. Well, I have them available on my website right now. Theoretically, we're launching it right now, as not quite as we speak. It was probably about an hour ago. So they're on my website. If you go to
Are they the same size or are they a larger size?
they are
Or
larger.
Yeah.
I have 12 by 18 inches and I have 20 by 30 inches.
And what are we sending?
To give a perspective on that, these are 12 by 9, so
Okay.
So double.
your big one is going to be double the size, your starting size.
Yeah, the small one is going to be double the size of
we're
the.
sending.
We have a collection set up. So if you go to steveargyle.com/Cosmere, I think. Again, we did this just now.
Yep.
There is a collection of all the work that I've done for the Cosmere, and we have a coupon code for 20% off if you put in Cosmere 20. There's also, you can bundle stuff together, like if you want all of the woodcuts, there's a discount in addition to the 20%.
Sorry, we're going
and-
to say the website one more time. I think there was something that cut it off.
steveargyle.com/Cosmere. And if you
Thanks,
forget
Jennifer.
that, or if I did it wrong and it's not Cosmere, you can just go to steveargyle.com and navigate through the galleries to get there. And then the discount code, Cosmere20, and that's 20% off of everything.
Everything on the store or everything for us?
Everything for the Cosmere.
Okay.
So it's not just Stormlight, it also includes Vin.
Right, right. Yeah, those woodcuts, I just wonder if someday we need to do something else with those too. I really like how those turned out.
Me too. Today I was talking with my printer about other ways to do them, because what I have for most of my prints, they are on this really nice Fujifilm silver halide paper, and it's gorgeous. But I was thinking for the woodcuts, I wanted to look like woodcuts, like ink pressed onto paper. So I'm chatting with him. He's amazing. He does all my printing, and he has handed me a few proposals. The one he says is going to be the most gorgeous, but I don't know if how doable it is, because the paper itself is like $20 and the prints are $25. He's going to send me a sample, and if I go with that and you order, then no extra charge. But they might, if I decide to go that route, they might either have two options or just the one that's going to be more expensive, because from what he tells me, they really look like classic woodcut,
That sounds awesome.
and I'm excited to see them.
I'm excited to see those. I want to see that. So people can buy these separately on your website.
Yeah,
Yes.
if you just want to get the one print or two prints, Steve's website's the place to go. Right? If you don't want to be like, I need all of the Lightweaver stuff, you just want the Lightweaver painting, that's the best place to get them.
And they are going to be bigger.
Yep.
Yeah.
The ones that we have are going to be nice.
Yep.
That they are going to be. They're smaller. They're more intended for if you do wind up getting 10 of them. It's
Yeah.
not going to take up your whole
Yeah.
wall. Only half of it.
And we wanted to be able to ship them in the box.
Yeah.
Like, we had to pick a box bigger than we were going to fit them, but we want to be able to mail them in the box rather than another separate fiasco like the posters.
Yeah. We had to pick. That's why they're 12 by 9 because the cardboard that we ship these out in it fits that really well.
Yep. So there we are. Let me give you a break and do a fan mail for a second, and then we'll maybe throw a few more questions at them. So we have a fan mail. Do we have a fancy graphic for that now?
Oh, that's
So
fun.
fancy. All right, dear Brandon, this is from Dylan. Thanks for the fan mail, by the way, Dylan, from Tucson. So I really like Tucson. They have a nice gems festival in Tucson. In fact, when I was in the BYU band, we went to Tucson for our bowl game, and so yeah. I have two questions: a fun one and a writing one. My question is, did Navi from The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time have any influence on your coming with Silk? I get this a lot. Here's my dirty secret. I never played Ocarina of Time. So I love Legend of Zelda, right? But I had an original Nintendo and a Super Nintendo, and I did not have an N64 or a GameCube. And then I went back to Nintendo after that. This is because my brother's the real big gamer, and so while I had early Nintendo stuff, he then, while I was serving mission in Korea, when I was there for the on the church service, he sold the Super Nintendo and bought a PlayStation, which I didn't mind because I knew the new Final Fantasy was coming out of that, Final Fantasy VII. So I came back, and from then on, PlayStation is what I had. And I missed that entire generation. Like, I had to leave the Nintendo home because he'd paid for part of it. It was both our thing. And so when I went to college, I had no Nintendo. I didn't have a TV, so it didn't make sense to bring my Nintendo. And so I missed those generations. I missed the 64-bit generation entirely. And then the next generation, it was PlayStation. And so I don't know Ocarina of Time at all. And so I really am embarrassed by that because I do know, I have played a lot of Zelda games and they're all great, but a lot of people are shocked by that because they list that as their favorite, and I never played that. I did eventually play Wind Waker many years later on just, I think that was GameCube. A friend had a GameCube just, in the closet when we were roommates, and so I eventually ended up playing that one. I never played Ocarina of Time. I think, is Ocarina of Time, tell us on the chat, is it 64 and 64? You're nodding, you know? Yeah. So I missed that one. If you were to write a story for a video game, how would you approach it differently than writing a novel? Keep in mind that story plot will likely develop after gameplay elements, even after some character location is created. How would you approach environmental storytelling like what you find in Dark Souls? So this is a great question to ask me because it's something I've had to think about a lot lately. I should be signing while I do this. Kara's like looking at me. Finish signing, Brandon. So I've thought about this a lot, starting when I first had a video game that we maybe were putting in development for Mistborn, and then later on I have good friends who have called me in. My friends at Epic Share Entertainment, they make Fortnite, periodically call me and say, Brandon, we're having a brainstorming session. Can you come help us with this? And it's a lot of fun. They know I love video games. And so I've thought a lot about how would I tell stories with video games. And there are a couple things that I've come up with. I personally really prefer stories that do not stop the game. Like, one of my favorites is in things, I'm playing Borderlands 3 right now. Borderlands 3's story has some issues, but one of the things that I like that they kind of took from Half-Life back in the day is they don't stop the story very often. The people are talking to you over voice comm. Infamous did this, and Infamous did a great job. I really like the story in Infamous. And I like that idea of a story happening as an epistolary story, like that's what we call it, over voice records and things, while you are playing the game. feels very fun to me. But another thing, I actually pitched this to Blizzard a long time ago. I'm like, you guys have a game. They wanted me to write stories for Overwatch, right? So they called me in. They had Pat Rothfuss in too, and just be like, hey, could we hire you guys to write stories for Overwatch? This is right when it had stopped being what they call it, Project Titan, and they were moving into calling it Overwatch. So it was years before even Overwatch came out. And they were investigating, maybe they wanted novel tie-ins and things. And I mostly went in to tour Blizzard, because I told them kind of straight out, even over email, and they said, you want to do this? I'm like, I am very unlikely to be able to write a novel for your game. But they're like, well, come in and let us do our pitch, and we'll show you all around Blizzard, which sounded like fun. And so I went in, and they did their pitch, and then I had a pitch for them. I said, you have a captive audience of 10 million plus people, however many people play World of Warcraft. And I have a roommate who loves World of Warcraft. And what did he do? Actually, he wasn't a roommate then, but he would sit and go on these quests where he's just kind of listening to the radio talk shows while he's killing 5,000 of these to farm for this thing. And it was very relaxing for him, right? And a lot of games have these sort of relaxing things in them. It's past your bedtime. This is why you're acting like this, huh? And I said, let's do audiobooks, where I write an audiobook or someone writes an audiobook, and you include in your monthly subscription the ability to spend $5, because you already have the audience, and then everybody who does that subscribes to getting audiobooks every month that they can listen to while they're out, farming, whatever. And I thought that would be a great way to tell a story. Like, don't interrupt the action. Wait till the lulls in the game where you're doing something else, and then listen to these cool audio dramas. Basically, they were not interested. I still thought it was a cool idea. I still think with the right game, you could match an audio drama to gameplay in a really interesting way. But that's one thing I've thought about. I've also thought about how do you not interrupt the story for the story, right? Like I talked about Borderlands 3, and they do one thing really, really well. Borderlands has always done this, which is you're hearing over your comm. You probably ought to go, huh? Do you need to get down?
You want to text Emily?
Yeah, why don't you text Emily? What? Come on. What? You want to get down or not? No, you just want to take part in the conversation. Is this what you want to do? Yeah.
He wants to take some questions.
He wants to take some questions. He just hears me talking and he wants to take part. He's going to try and get my buttons. You're going to try and get my buttons, aren't you? They do one thing really, really well, which is these audio, like when someone wants to give you information and info dump, they just call you, right? And they're face and pictures while you're doing whatever you're doing. They chat with you. They usually have really good voice acting, and the characters are fun to listen to, and they do a really good job with that. But they then stop for cutscenes that your character doesn't appear in because they have 4 characters that you can choose from, so they just left them out. So it feels like the main story, no glasses, you don't have anything to do with, right? You're just doing fetch quests between the main story, and it feels really disjointed for that reason. And so while I really like part of it, that teaches me, man, I don't like that. You can't have the glasses. Whenever I don't pay attention to him, he goes for the glasses. Look, come here. Listen. You can't have the glasses. If you have the glasses, then you end up on your back like this. Yeah. He just is getting tired, and he wants me to pay attention to him and give him scratches. People do not know how cuddly parrots are who don't have parrots. They don't expect that your parrot is going to do this and insist on you giving them scratches and things like that. But you need to go to bed because it is your bedtime. All right, Emily is going to take him. He's going to be mad. No, don't fight her. Come on, come here. Don't get on my head. Oh, you're getting good at that. All right, you're going on your back again. Yeah. I love parrots. Other people are dog first people or cat people, and I understand that. They are both really good pets, but I just love there he's talking to try and get us to pay attention to him. I love how parrots act, just the way their expressions and things. So, but I should be a responsible parrot owner and warn you, parrots are not easy pets, right? Parrots, this is a tangent, but parrots are as much work as having a puppy. And puppies are a lot of work. People know that, they expect. Adam is nodding his head. He has a puppy. Parrots are like that. They require training, discipline, and attention to make a good pet out of them. They make fantastic pets if you do that, but they require a time investment. And I worry, those of us who love parrots worry that people think of birds as easy pets. And maybe that's true for like finches and things. I don't know. I haven't ever done non-parrot birds as pets. But a parrot needs a social group. They are very social animals. And buying a parrot and then leaving the parrot in its cage for all the time, it's just really hard on the parrots. And so if you want a parrot, they are fantastic pets for people who have done their research to understand what they're getting themselves into. Don't buy a parrot if you would think that having a puppy is too much work. Don't buy a parrot. Buy, like we bought for my son, a tortoise, which is a lot less work and still very cute. So that's my parrot rant. I've had them since I was I got my first parrot when I was 15, and have kind of. I wouldn't call myself a parrot expert. There are people who are have more expertise, but I've had parrots basically all my life, and so I do know some things about them. And one is keep them busy, just like you keep your children busy.
So we have another question for Steve.
Mm-hmm.
They're wondering if you have ever done art for Hearthstone, or if you've ever played that game.
I have played way too much of Hearthstone. I thought it is a fantastic, fun card game. I like lots of card games. That's why I got into Magic the Gathering. I got into art because I was a huge fan of a game called Legend of the Five Rings. I haven't done artwork for them. I've talked to them a couple of times. Timing just hasn't ever quite worked out. And I think that they're a little nervous that I can't pull off their style because it's more whimsical.
Yeah. And they have a very distinct style for
they
that.
They do.
Yeah.
I'm confident that I can. I have a whimsical style that a lot of people haven't seen. I do like these little tokens for Magic players.
Oh yeah, those are fun.
They're cute.
They're really fun. They're like what I do to unwind because they're just
at a con and Steve is there. Go to his booth and look through all the goofy little tokens that he has.
Yeah, and I think I have them on my I do have them on my website. They're not for sale, but they're prints of them. So if you just want to, not prints, just pictures of them. So if you want to see, it's like there's a kraken who. The real quick pitch of these is that they are creatures who are born to do something but can't do it. The analogy is they're angels with wings that are too small. So they want to fly, but they aren't really equipped. Their wings are too small, but they find a way. So like there's an angel who he's got just the simple like big balloon apparatus. There is a kraken who wants to be a tourist, and so he builds a robot squid suit that walks on land. And in the black and white version of the token, he's actually touring Temple Square in Utah. But that's the theme. Is there these cute little kind of stories of hope, don't give up. Like they've all got a thing that they want to do, can't do, find a way to do. Anyways, that's kind of gone away from Hearthstone, but I love Hearthstone, yes.
Don't worry, that's a theme of this stream. Is
meandering tangents.
People ask a question and suddenly we're talking about,
Chicken Scouts.
Chicken Scouts, yes. Mm-hmm. Or Temple Square with Leviathans visiting.
It's cute too.
The next question is for Isaac.
All right.
I'm not sure if you've or Karen have done specific research into coaster materials, but people are wondering if we know what they will be made out of.
We don't yet. I think that's also dependent upon the printing process that we decide to do. I have 2 coasters on my desk right now that are done with 2 different printing processes. I lived in Germany twice and have seen many different coasters, not because I'm a drinker, but because there are coasters all over Germany, and they are really cool. And so we're familiar with what's out there, but if people have requests or thoughts,
Yeah.
we would love to hear about that.
It needs
Just away from the
to
mic.
be.
Oh, sorry.
It needs to be paperish.
Paperish,
yeah, for
yes.
weight-wise,
Yeah, so
we
you
need to
can't
have.
ask for metal, you can't
Yeah.
ask for
Yeah,
wood.
exactly.
Yeah, we
It
can't
has
do.
to stay like
These will be
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has to. Yes,
Sorry.
Tara's the one in charge of shipping these things. So but they're going to be more like the coasters you get at a restaurant,
Yeah.
Yes.
not the coasters you buy for to set out.
Right.
You know, on your desk. That
These are more like the disposable ones
Yeah.
that you find. But the ones I have on my desk are disposable, and I've been using some of them for years.
Yeah.
And I know that there are some that they're printed in full color and they have some kind of film over the top of them and they warp.
Yeah.
And there are others that don't warp, but they are made of a more absorbent material. So yeah, just let us know. Maybe we'll
Yeah,
wind
let
up
us
doing a variety of these different things.
Possible. Or we might just, make them out of the cardboardy sort of stuff,
Yeah.
and then have more on our website that later on you can pick up a refill package.
Yeah,
and keep
for-
it.
People are requesting that, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is one of the happy accidents from the Kickstarter doing so well, is that we had a little more wiggle room for these things. We could hire some more art out. We could dedicate some time and make some things, and I just love how these turned out.
It was kind of an underdog story in a
Yeah.
way, because when we first mentioned them, we're like, do people want those? And so we put it up on that thing, and it's like it was one of the highest ones
Yeah.
that people wanted, and it turned into a really fun.
Yeah, the
Fun thing.
brainstorming session was just delightful after one of the streams one week, and then we went out to dinner and talked about it, and we were coming up with all these ideas. Yeah, I could totally see us putting up like a 10-pack of these, or a 12-pack, because there's 4, so that you have them, so that they could be a little more disposable if you want.
And I think we'd be open to the idea of doing more things if we
Yeah.
come up with an idea that we think is really cool. We discarded several things.
Yes.
And I don't know if we want to mention some of
Yeah,
those.
well, we
but
didn't come
really
up with something that made us laugh enough for the wines, like
Yeah.
the colors of wine,
Yeah.
which seems like a go-to one for a Rasharan coaster. And yes, we did. We brainstormed a while, but the others all had us laughing to some extent.
Yeah.
Those are done, Kara.
Well, one of the ones that
there's more. There's always
Oh,
more.
there's always more.
Yeah.
we replaced with the Chasm Fiend one.
Yeah.
It was, we were trying to mash up Investiture and
Yeah.
an oxygen bar,
Yeah.
and it wasn't. We just couldn't find the joke that made us laugh with that.
Yeah. So, maybe fans will suggest some that will be really great. We like that we came up with like a variety. We got an alcoholic drink. We got a soft drink. We've got a chowta stand. We've got an energy drink. It's a nice little variety. But the fact that we didn't come up with one for wines just, makes me think, could we come up with one that's like, give me the violet, or no, orange for me, please, that you flip over, or something like that. That was one you suggested.
Yeah,
or
I
one
was-
someone suggested.
I was thinking of
like the Brazilian
Like
restaurant.
like the Brazilian restaurants, where
except,
it's, yeah.
for a drink.
But except this one says, how level of intoxicating you want your wine to be. That would be kind of fun.
More chowta, please.
Yeah.
No more chowta.
How strong is the Horneater White?
Yeah.
It's moonshine.
It's supposed to you've either got to be a Radiant or a Hornator before.
They were worried it
yeah.
would kill the character who decided to drink it. The bar was like, that will kill you. So, Hornators are capable. They have they actually are human singer hybrids, like the Herdazians, but in a different line, and they have a different physiology. And they actually have they are not 100% human and are capable of eating and ingesting things that would kill a person.
Can singers eat the horn
Yeah,
eater?
singers could drink the horn eater white.
You can feed horn eater white to your chol probably.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just want to share this message from YouTube from Gunstar420. He says, "What is the most important drink a man can take? The next one."
Oh dear.
Which I loved.
Oh, that's good. Nice work.
That would be a
Thumbs
good
up.
coaster too.
Yeah.
Just have that be on
That'd be a good
both
coaster.
sides.
I think when we, if these do well, we can expand into some of the
we'll
other
see.
world.
We could go on forever. We could come up
Yeah.
with 100 of these.
We could.
Um,
I know that Wayne has probably got something somewhere, right?
Yeah.
In fact, he's probably the one who came up with that.
So there you go. We've got like a half hour left.
About 20,
minutes.
23 minutes.
23 minutes. So, anything you want to ask any of us? Oh wait, I gotta do this other thing. I gotta sign these other guys. Okay, we'll do that. Now that Jello isn't here to come over and so the UK publisher is giving away for those of you in the UK who do point out to us when there's America only contests how unfair that is. That's usually chosen by the publisher, but this time we're going to have one for the UK where they have posters of all 4 Stormlight books, and they're having me sign them in gold or silver, depending on the poster, and then they are going to give these away. We don't know how or when. We'll let you know, but it will be limited to the UK, maybe Ireland also, I would guess. It depends. They'll tell us. Yeah, but I don't know if they're going to ship them to Australia. Sorry, Aussies. That'll be up to them. I am going to sign these right now. And these are going to be wetter, so I'm going to hand those to the team, and they're going to dry them out so that we get these signed. But
I'm not sure if you want to share them as you sign them, since you only showed the first one.
yes.
People should probably
These
know
are
the covers.
It's Sam Weber. No, not Sam Weber.
Sam Green.
Sam Green, yeah.
Sam Green. For those who don't know, one of the interesting differences between the publishers is the UK generally prefers to print all authors' books in a same style, regardless of series. So I've had the same illustrator and the same general concept for all of my books in the UK. Even the non-Cosmere ones generally have a similar theme. There's and in the US, they prefer to brand a series instead of by the author. And so the US will have a different illustrator generally for each book series. Some people have asked, hey, can we get the UK covers for our US books or things like that? And we're actually working on that, right? We can't guarantee, we're still in talks, but I've talked about this for years, and the UK publisher seems willing to in their next print run, print off some extras for us and send them over here. Really, it's going to depend. Oh, is that a quote? Ben Aronovich gave me a quote? So everyone tell Ben thank you. He's a fantastic writer. I didn't know that he'd given me a cover quote, and they put that on there.
I haven't seen that one.
Rivers of London is just a great book. They renamed it in the US, which happens sometimes. I'm trying to remember. It's like Midnight Riot or something like that. Not quite as evocative a title to say, but he's great. Anyway, we are seeing if they'll print off some extras for us that we can sell in a pack. Really, what's going to happen here is we're going to do this, and then if you guys want them, you can buy them, and that'll tell us to do more. If you're not actually all that interested, we aren't going to be offended. But if they don't sell, then we won't do the rest of the Cosmere books. But if they do, then we probably will do like the Mistborn trilogy, or probably the 7 Mistborn books in a pack, and then eventually get the other, so that you could get them on the shelf. We found that the way that they do their printing, the covers have enough like space at the sides that you can fold them, even though they're slightly different. Isaac folded them up and put them around his Stormlight books, and they fit just fine.
Yep. So one of the differences between the U.S. editions of hardcovers and the at least your UK hardcovers is that the flaps that flap in are like an inch wider. So if we get these flat
In the UK.
They're just standard sizes are slightly different, but the heights of the book are the same. And so
we would get them unfolded.
We would get them
fold
unfolded.
them around
you
your
would
book.
fold it around the book, and that it was kind of a happy accident that they
just
match.
Yeah. So we probably do that, but no promises. Might have those for Christmas time. It's possible. If you're interested in eventually just getting all the UK covers for your books, then we might be able to accommodate you.
Yeah, and just spitballing a little bit, you know, if this works out well, would we consider doing other regions? Like I know a lot of people like the Chinese or the Taiwanese covers.
The Chinese covers are among my favorites. So
Or-
the issue is like once you've bought these, will you buy a second set? Right? You're going to. Maybe there are people who'll be like, my Brandon Sanderson collection, I will repackage periodically so it matches the decor of my room.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yes.
Logistically, that's a little bit harder because we would have to design them again.
Yes.
What's nice about these is that they already fit.
Yeah.
So-
Because the English ones, like, they're both using the same text.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads to books roughly the same length, even if they have different sort of paper sizes and things.
Yeah.
That's not the case in other countries. And so if people really like this, I could see us being like, here is, we'll take a vote on what people want the most of next, and we'll try it. But it would take way more work. So we'll. It's been enough work to persuade everyone this is something my fans actually are interested in. Because everyone seems a little skeptical, but but then I kind of point out a lot of people get ratty dust jackets. I know a lot of my favorite books, the dust jacket just eventually gets worn and would like to replace it. And a lot of people like the coolness, how the UK ones just all look exactly the same on the shelf. They have a unifying style, so we will see. There are places out there that do this like officially. They come up with new jackets, right? Didn't we see? There's like an online place that does this, but those were really luxury items and they were really
I
expensive.
can't remember their name.
Yeah,
But
they did really great work.
Yeah, the Wheel of Time ones are gorgeous.
But they're so expensive that we thought, and I can understand why. I mean, we know firsthand how much it is to commission a whole bunch of art, and that's why we like having the Kickstarter, where we have an excuse to take a budget and spend it all and go get one of our friends and do really cool artwork for a while. Anyway.
So, question. This one's for you, Brandon.
Yeah.
This one's from Sean. He says, is there a specific inspiration for the atheist characters you write? He says, thank you for writing them, whether or not just jaded or traumatized. That makes them lose their faith.
So there's I'll say three inspirations. The first inspiration is just getting to know a lot of different people who have a lot of different mindset, particularly those who are whose life experience and beliefs are very different from my own, and realizing, wow, we caricature people a lot. We do this politically, and like I'm on Reddit, and I like to interact there and things, and I like to look at the front page and things like that, and I lean a little left politically. A lot of my family leans right. And I see the caricature of what my right-leaning family believes, and it makes me angry, right? And I know that when I get together with my right-leaning family, the things they caricature of the left make me angry, right? And I think this is it's human nature, but I do think that in religious communities, we have a tendency to do this to other religions and to people who are themselves not religious. And I felt, as I was being a reader, that whenever I ran across someone who had beliefs like mine, for instance, when the people who are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints show up in Sherlock Holmes, it makes me feel sad that the author did not have the resources or time to do the research into the group that the story was being written about. How about that? That's more on the fact that, you can't really expect Conan Arthur Doyle to be able to have the access to people who, a wide variety of thoughts and opinions that we have nowadays. And I told myself I'm going to do a better job when I write. That's part of it. Part of it is also that I have a very sort of rational, humanistic leaning mind. You can probably see that from the way that I write, about magic systems and things. And so a lot of the things that are said by atheists are things that I have felt and I have wondered. And I have found my own way where I continue in faith because of experiences I've had and beliefs that I have and things like that. But, I can't blame someone for coming to a different conclusion when I have had the same questions, right? Where I have had some of the same struggles. And so I wanted to do as best I could with each character I put in my books, that if you are the person who's like, I am like this one, that when you read the book, you say, yeah, I know that that a lot of the characters, are not like me. That's why we read, right? To learn about people who are not like me. But when I get the character who is like me, he gets it right. That is a mark of pride to me, and that is something I really want to be able to do. And I guarantee I will get it wrong at times. But my sincere goal is I believe we arrive at truth and accommodation not by presenting weak arguments, but by presenting our best arguments, the best ideas and thoughts that mankind can offer, humankind. Let's go ahead and say humankind. That humankind can offer on all different aspects, and it's through thinking about and really investigating the best thoughts and giving the best arguments that we will arrive at truth, not by presenting the weakest arguments different from the way we think, and then saying, well, of course, it can't be that, which is what I see happening in the political spectrum a lot. I think that we would get further if more people would say, this side has a really good argument, right? Let's engage with that argument rather than picking the weakest argument that I can make on their behalf and then write a political cartoon about how stupid they are. So that's my little diatribe on that. I appreciate it. You can thank those who are willing to share their thoughts online, because I get a lot of this information from reading blogs by people who are sharing their sincere thoughts, feelings, emotions, experiences, which really lets me understand how to write a character who shares some of those. So those of you who do have public blogs where you talk about your own struggles with faith, or your own decisions where it wasn't a struggle, where you're like, you know what, this is what makes sense to me. That is really helpful to me.
There's a related question from Bayan, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. They say, how much research into philosophical work do you do before each book, and what inspired you to use these in particular?
Yeah.
Kantian deontology for the Knights Radiant, consequentialism for the Alethi and the Taravangian, and secular morality for Yasna.
So I had an interesting experience in college in that you have to get your GEs, right? Your general education things. You have to pick like a history course, and you have to pick this course and that course. And I was doing that my sophomore year, and I realized, hey, there are philosophy courses that fill my GE course for history, my GE course for this history, my GE course for this for rhetoric, my GE course for there was some sort of logic or thing that I could take the logic class for that was kind of sidestep to mathematics, and I realized I could take like 5 philosophy classes and get all of these GEs done and actually be studying something I was interested in rather than something I was not as interested in, right? There were other histories, but everyone expected like me to take the history of literature. But I'm like, I know literature already. I've read a lot of this. I've studied it. I want to take something that's interesting to me that I haven't spent as much time studying. And so I took enough to I was like one class off from a philosophy minor, but the only thing, as I've said before, more useless than a creative writing major generally is a philosophy degree. I wasn't doing it for any sort of letters. I just really liked the classes. I will say this. Here's one of our tangents. Boy, those old philosophers, they did not know how to write. I love those guys. They had really cool ideas. I wish we could go back and teach them a little bit about how to construct a sentence that doesn't go for 7 pages and have 40 commas, and is in the past progressive tense for half of it and in the imperative for the other half, right? So I'll just mention that. Some of them are more readable than others, but yeah. So why did I choose the ones that I did? Basically, I was trying to match. So I really like when stories are not just a conflict of personality, they are a conflict between ideologies and ways of viewing the world, which are all valid ways of viewing the world. When I put Taravangian and Dalinar into conflict with each other, it's because they are both looking at it in a very different way. Life in a different way. And I'm kind of reaching to different philosophical bases for those. And I will butcher it if I try to use the actual terminologies, because, I am not a philosophy major. But why did I pick what I did? They match the characters, right? And they match what I'm trying to explore without finding, again, not trying to give you the answers, trying to explore theme in stories, and I just love doing that. It's what makes me excited about writing characters. So there you are. There's a rambling answer to it. So you guys can, you're in college. You could look and be like, wait, maybe I can fulfill all of this with philosophy. And then I can tell everyone that I'm taking philosophy classes, and they will roll their eyes at you, at me every time that I point out a logical fallacy. Another aside, my favorite of the logical fallacies is something about it just amuses me when the logical fallacy becomes the rule, right? Like we often use a slippery slope argument, right? Where you say that's a slippery slope. Not realizing that the quote slippery slope was used to say this is an invalid argument. Saying it's a slippery slope is by definition a logical fallacy. And granted, it's shifted in terminology and people use it differently, but there's literally a logical fallacy. It says a slippery slope argument is a bad argument. It's called a slippery slope argument. So saying that's a slippery slope is in some ways saying that my argument is bad by definition of formal logic. People hate formal logic for that reason, right? Because people with formal logic are the ones who are like, well, that's not actually what begging the question means. So I try not to do that, but it does amuse me sometimes.
I had no idea on that. I thought that a slippery slope was like you do one thing and then the next
and
thing,
that's the fallacy,
and that's going down. Yeah.
So to explain it in layman's terms, either a thing is right or not right. Depending on your own moral philosophy, you may not be like, you may be saying, you may be relativist and things like that. But in general, if we just kind of take the strictest, a thing is right or not right. If you're going to draw a line between right and not right, there is a line where something becomes not right. So don't cross that line. Not say, I'm not going to do this other thing, which are both right, because I might do this thing. It's a bad argument. Say, I'm not going to do this thing that is, and that's a gross simplification of what they say, but I actually believe that, right? I believe that you should look at and say, is the thing that I am choosing to do the right thing to do, rather than worrying that that it will lead me to the wrong thing. Is the thing I'm choosing to do the wrong thing? Let's not do it then. And right? Like that is like, if you're going to go into my moral philosophy, that is one of the things that I believe. Judge it based not on what you're afraid will happen, but whether the thing itself is a good or a not good thing. But that one's taken me a while to kind of settle on where I fall on that line. So
there's another one that's similar, where it's the rules that make their own rules, the fences around the law, where it's like, okay, don't get near the thing. Okay, well, to make sure we don't get near the thing, let's put a fence around the thing.
Yes.
So that we can't get too near it. Well, but the fence is still pretty near. Like, can you get up to the fence? That's still pretty near. We need to put a fence around the fence. And they continue to build fences around the fences until it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yep. And maybe there are some actual people who study formal logic that can correct me on any of my gross simplifications of things. So if I'm completely off base, let us know in the comments. But there we are. There's our little deviation into formal logic. I loved my philosophy classes. They were super hard. Those philosophers are like, we can't let you get A's in philosophy because it means that you would be too smart at philosophy. And nobody understands philosophy except for the true philosophers. And so they would make these tests that are like lists of memorizing. And I would go in and argue with them, which I think they liked, where I'd be like, this is not teaching philosophy. This is just you making a random gate that people have to jump through in order to, to do this. And not all of them were like that, but occasionally I would like teach philosophy, don't teach dates. But they're like, it's a history of philosophy class. I'm like, okay, yes, but yeah.
I'm just
Anyway,
imagining these professors who were like, I don't have anybody to talk to. I'm going to make a really hard test, and then they're going to all argue with me, and I'm going to be so happy.
I'm here to have an argument. Oh, sorry, this is abuse. Argument's 2 doors down, right? What is that?
Sounds like a farce.
Well, that's Argument Clinic. It's a famous Monty Python skit. It's quite amusing. So,
Monty Python,
Yeah.
Far Side.
Yeah.
They're kind of in the same vein.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gary Larson's back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
He's been
he's doing-
posting stuff on his website.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He had the story behind this is that he wasn't doing this for a while, and then he somehow picked up an iPad. I don't remember the story, and he's like, wow, I can do all sorts of stuff on an iPad. Kind of taught himself how to use the iPad, and now he's kind of, his style has evolved. You can still tell it's Gary Larson, but he's doing new things and coming up with
Wow.
some of his wacky jokes. He's not calling it the Far Side anymore. It's something else, but it's entertaining.
First, Opus comes back and then leaves, and then comes back and then leaves, and then comes back, and then Opus is back again, and now Gary Larson. I would say Burke Breathed, but I don't know if I pronounced his name right. So, Breathed. There you
I know
go.
it sounds a little bit
Yeah.
weird, but
So
he was at Comic Con.
Burke, is that his first name?
Burke
Breathed. Yeah, he's been like this. Are you in or are you out for a while? But I mean, I love his work. I had all the Bloom County collections when I was young.
I still do.
Yeah.
He is one of my absolute favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And the scary thing, you go back to read.
Yeah,
Um,
it's all about right now.
yeah, seriously.
No,
He's
I
got
did
all
that.
this stuff in the 80s
Right. About
Bush's, Clinton's,
yeah.
and Trump. And you're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
the guy's a prophet.
Yeah. Let's not get too political, but yeah.
Yeah.
I got my son Joel. One of my most proud moments is I have the Calvin and Hobbes complete collection, the hardcovers, and they are worn out to the point that they're falling apart because he discovered them and then took them up to his room and has read them now like 6 times. I tried Far Side on him and he just didn't get it. He might be too young for Far Side still, but Calvin and Hobbes just super clicked with him, right? It's so good. So I wish there were another comic that I could get for him to that level, because he and I kind of have bonded over our love of Calvin and Hobbes, which, who doesn't love Calvin and Hobbes? But it is still something cool to share with your kid. I'm thinking of trying to get him into Bone. Problem is, Bone has like little romancy subplots and things, and he's still in that mode where I hate romance. Yes, I hate it. Right? So it may be an instant no from him if he sees too much romance.
So we have a question that many people were wanting you to answer. It may be a Raffo immediately.
Yeah.
But this one is from Valerie Jackson. She's curious what order of Knights Radiant Dalinar's plate came from.
Dalinar's plate came from. I will Raffo that because I have not. Let's leave that alone for now. We're not
Just
talking
a lot of people
about
were saying
weight.
yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
And
I know.
at
they,
least
they
wanted
are, they
something
are.
on the
Here
record.
you go. You deserve a nice can of. We can find out. Yeah, let's leave that one alone for now. We'll start talking about we don't even really know where Shard Blade comes from. It's all a
That's
mystery.
true. That's true.
It's all a mystery. Was Shard Blade even from a knight? Every piece of it? We don't know where it comes from. The cosmonauts all know. They figured it out. But we're just going to pretend that they don't know.
Chicken Scouts.
It came from the Chicken Scouts.
Yeah.
Yep, that was
That's
the final rank.
Yes. How are we looking for time?
It's 9:02.
9:02. All right. I think we are probably good. We'll be back next week. I will be back next week. I think people asked, and so we have an in with the Wells family, who who is here right now, who suggested to his father that he come on the live stream, and so I think next week we're gonna have Dan visit and tell stories about me. For the live stream. So you will want to show up for that one because, yeah, Dan is one of the most entertaining people I've ever known, and you put him together with me, and hijinks ensue. So Dan's gonna stop by next week. He'll probably come a little late, but he'll be here. And yeah. So this is me signing off. How many more of these do we have, Kara?
That one and about a box and a half.
About a box
You're
and a half.
probably about halfway.
About halfway through. So maybe we'll finish them next week. Maybe for all the UK people, what's next on the docket?
We still need to finish the tour ones,
Okay.
and then I have some book plates.
Some book plates. All right. So we'll see you next week. Next week will probably be our last weekly live stream. We'll probably go back to every 2 weeks after that. But as always, thank you guys. And if you get the chance to mention the Kickstarter again to people, we would appreciate it. And I'm sure everyone who's already participated would appreciate it because then their chances of getting cool coasters go up dramatically. So.
Or the Michael and Kate
Or
audiobook,
Michael and
which
Kate
is what I
reading
want.
the audio. They are awesome, and they are willing to read it, and everyone will get a copy. For everyone in the world who wants one can have one in that case. Thank you guys so much. Take care.